Welcome to the Kingdom Podcast, featuring Commissioner Christine King, where all voices are heard.
Welcome to the Kingdom Podcast, where all voices are heard. I am Christine King, your hostess with the mostest, Commissioner for District 5, City of Miami, as well as the first woman to chair the City of Miami Commission. Today, I am honored to have Kamila Pritchett as my guest. She is the executive director of the Black Archives, and she actually runs this beautiful theater where I host the Kingdom Podcast. It's the Lyric Theater, and I understand we have a big anniversary.
Yes. The Lyric Theater was built in. First of all, I want to thank you for having me on the podcast. And the Lyric Theater was built in 1913 by a black businessman named Jeter Walker. So this year, 2023, is the 110th anniversary of this historic space.
Wow, 110 years. Yes. Amazing. And there have been so many beautiful souls to grace this space. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the Lyric Theater, when it opened, it was a community space where the neighborhood would gather to talk about community affairs. And then throughout time, it evolved into, it had served as a vaudeville theater. It served as a movie theater. Some of the famous people who have performed on the stage are opera singer Marian Anderson. Whitney Houston actually shot a music video called Try It On Our Own here.
My favorite.
Yeah, and then
she was my favorite.
She was, and she's the type of legend that not only for the Lyric Theater, but the Overtown neighborhood is known for, specifically in its heyday. But right now, it's just so exciting to see the reemergence of this community, and we're very excited to be at the forefront of that by continuing to present those, big names as well as local community and Miami acts.
Right. You're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
You recently became the executive director of the Black Archives.
Yes.
Tell me how that kind of came to be.
Well, I've been at the Black Archives for 10 years. And I started out working as development coordinator, and throughout time I have done several different things, but of course the Black Archives is a nonprofit. So what your title is doesn't necessarily only encapsulate what you're doing. So you do a lot of different things.
Right.
And over those 10 years, I worked very close with our previous director. And
let's give him a shout out.
His name is Timothy A. Barber. He was the person who transitioned the Black Archives from its home previously at the Caleb Center, where it was just, a repository, to completing the restoration of this space and bringing our operations over here so that we could not only be preserving these spaces in Overtown, but physically be here and operating and serving the community.
And I love that. My space is your space is my space. I have a district office here in the Black Archives building, and the Southeast Overtown Park West, I hope I said that right, is also located here in this building.
Yes, the CRA is one of our largest supporters, and they have an office space on the 3rd floor here. So what it does is kind of bring some of the greatest stakeholders in the Overtown community under one roof. So we're very much in concert with working together to try to provide not only amazing arts and entertainment that you come here as a visitor, but through those activities, we're able to provide jobs for the community and bring or enhance a sense of pride for residents who live here and seeing the positive foot traffic and the positive attention that the neighborhood is getting from activity here at the Lyric.
I love what you're doing here. I love how you are programming this space. We had in the summer free movies for the community to come out and view movies. You have comedy shows here. You have a jazz festival every year, 3 days. I think it's a 3-day weekend kind of event, and it's in its 20-something year.
Yes.
I love what you're doing with the space. I love your energy and what you guys are doing to preserve art from Overtown. You have the largest Purvis Young?
We have the largest that I know of. We have over 300, just under 400 pieces of original Purvis Young artwork. And Purvis Young was a prolific artist whose work is almost synonymous with the Overtown neighborhood. And that's something that we're very, very proud of. Yeah.
Yes, we have named a street after him. His art is beautiful. I'm honored to own a couple of pieces, and you have gifted our office on loan at City Hall some of his pieces, and it's just a joy to walk in there and see that.
Yeah, and that's really what we like to use our space for, is amplifying the artistry of not only people of color, but people from our community. A lot of spaces in Miami, you know, they're bringing people in, and it's great when we have people from, you know, national places come to Miami. But it's even better when we can show that you don't really have to go outside of Miami to get high quality content. And over the past year, we've been partnering with a lot of the organizations in Miami that have arts programming. They're nonprofit organizations, and they run the gamut from, you know, as you mentioned, we've had local Overtown groups such as Touching Miami with Love, Urgent Inc., Girl Power. They've presented programs here, but we've also partnered with Guitars Over Guns and New World Symphony and the Moth Radio Hour and other organizations that would help to broaden our network of people who even know that we exist, you know, and
Right.
start coming to the Lyric Theater and understanding what we have here to offer.
It's game changing. It really is. The Overtown community is just booming, and a resurgence of what the community used to be in its heyday is on its way back. And I'm proud to be a part of this movement that we have going. And, you know, who runs the world?
Right, girls.
Girls. I mean, you are doing amazing things here.
And speaking to that, you know, I would be remiss if I spoke on the fact that we're celebrating our 110th anniversary, and I didn't mention the name of Dr. Dorothy Jenkins Fields, who is the founder of the Black Archives and the reason why this building is still standing today. You know, there has always been development in Miami.
Right.
And back when the Miami Arena was being constructed, a lot of the historic properties that had fallen into disrepair on this side of the railroad track were demolished. And Dr. Fields was able to save the Lyric Theater, have it placed on the National Register of Historic Places, and make it so that this space would always be here.
Right.
And so the Black Archives owns and operates this space, along with the home of Miami's first Black millionaire, D.A. Dorsey, Dana Albert Dorsey. We're using that as a museum and art gallery. Right now we've partnered with local art group Youth Concept Gallery, and they have a very avant-garde and funky art exhibit that's there right now. And we're currently doing restoration on the historic S.H. Johnson X-ray Clinic. So as the neighborhood is developing, which we think is great, we still want to maintain some portions of the original footprint of the neighborhood. And by us owning and operating those spaces and using them for multiple kinds of uses, you know,
Right.
we will do historic displays and exhibits, but also we've been very creative with adaptive reuse and galleries and using these spaces for other interesting things, just to engage a broader audience around the historical significance of this neighborhood in general.
And that's what we're trying to do through the CRA and me as chair. I want to see the community grow, but I also want to keep the uniqueness of the community.
Right.
I don't want it to turn into a space that is unrecognizable.
Right.
And this is the seat of culture. This is the seat of culture. There's so much here, such history. Just across the way with the Longshoremen Hall. And that beautiful mural
Yes.
that depicts longshoremen over the years. And I love the way the artist didn't really put a face. So you see yourself. The longshoremen of years and years can look at that and they see themselves, as well as the longshoremen of today
Right.
look at it and they see themselves. It's so beautiful. If we have so many beautiful murals coming coming to the community. There's one just down the street. You just look, there's vibrancy everywhere you look in this community, and I'm proud to be a part of that.
I am as well. And one thing that I'm really proud of and I enjoy about Overtown is the connectivity. We have, and as you said, it's important that as we grow and develop and change, as time dictates will happen anyway, but because we have the Black Archives properties, but also we have the Dunn's Josephine, and we also have Hampton Art Lovers over at the Ward
Yes.
Rooming House. And we have all these spaces, and it's not just that we're all popping up doing things. We are working together as a community. We're making sure that, we're collaborating on community events, such as the Soul Basel activities that we have here during art season, and just lifting each other up and supporting each other. And I feel like that's one of those things that is needed in a community when development comes in, so that you can work together. We work, the I guess legacy organizations, you can say, work together to make sure that our stories remain vibrant and accurate. And because of that level of collaboration, being seen together as a united front, when those developers and people come into the community, they invite us all to the table. So we're all having a conversation about what's important to us, and we're able to work together to present the best Overtown for the community and for those visiting Overtown.
Yeah, I think that is important, and that is the mission of the CRA as well, because we want to preserve the community. You want to be able to always come here and think, that's Overtown.
Right.
This is Overtown. If somebody wanted to get information on what the Black Archives are doing or what's happening at the Lyric Theater, where would they go to get information?
Well, we have a website, and our website is bahlt.org. We're also very active on social media. We have social media on Instagram for the Black Archives is BaltSoFlo, BAHLTSOFLO. And then for the Lyric Theater, that highlights not only the Black Archives programming, but all the activity at the theater, is Lyric Theater MIA. And from those two pages, we have our links on there where you can see all of our other activities, the events that we have on Eventbrite, and tickets and things like that.
That's great, because somebody is going to see this or hear this, and they will be able to go and get more information. Because the one thing that I want to see happen is more people come and visit this space.
Right.
And find out what they can about Overtown and what we're doing in this historic space and what we're doing throughout the community here in Overtown.
Right. And the Lyric Theater is kind of our mouthpiece as the Black Archives. Our organization is founded on the mission to preserve Miami's Black history. And in doing so, we're preserving these spaces. But also, just to make it clear that although we have tons of arts and culture offerings, and it's very important to us to activate the space, the foundation of our organization is preservation, and to make sure that children and the community at large can learn about the history, can learn about those pioneers and ancestors who paved the way for us to have so many, opportunities, and to see this community grow the way that it did. We can't move forward without being anchored in those things that brought us to this point. And so for us, this theater is a way for us to help sustain the archives. Through the activity here, we're able to support the continuation of our mission at the Black Archives.
Great, great. What's the best part of your job?
The best part of my job, so there's twofold. On the archive side, the best part of my job is seeing people come in and become literally wowed by something that they're learning about their history that's been right here in the city, that they've gone to school their whole life and never encountered or never known about it, for them to kind of like have those wow moments. And I never thought I would get that excited about watching people research, but just, it's more than just research. It's seeing that that connection from now to the past, and those people and those voices and stories are getting air, you know.
Right.
And so then on the other side at the theater, I love to stand in the theater and just watch different people come in, all different types of people, to especially when they're leaving after they've enjoyed a show here, and just to see people enjoying this type of entertainment, this type of experience at night in Overtown. I mean, like I said, I've been at the Black Archives for 10 years, and our organization was one of the first ones to actually start doing evening programming where people were coming to Overtown at night for events. And because we're so close to downtown, prior to that, people would drive through Overtown. We're going to I-95 and we're going to another neighborhood. But to help be a part of making this a destination and seeing where it came from, I mean, just seeing on a busy day where there's activities here, there's people at Red Rooster, there's things happening at the Urban, the gallery at Hampton Art Lovers is open, and people can just literally traverse and walk the neighborhood, is something that we dreamed of. And to see those things come to fruition, that's probably one of my favorite parts.
I love that too.
Yeah.
I love that too. And you see so many people coming in and out of Overtown, and so many different kind of
Right.
people. The excitement in the air, you feel it. It's electric.
It is.
It's electric. And I love what Keon is doing over at the Urban.
Yes.
Keon Williams, that is, giving a shout out to the Urban.
Yes.
And what he does in that space.
Yes.
It's good times.
Yes.
It's good times.
Because we have it covered. I mean, we have educational programming with the Black Archives. We have arts and culture here. We have art, fine art. The art that Chris Norwood is bringing is some
Right.
fantastic things at the Ward Rooming House. We have revolving activations working with youth groups at the Dorsey House. And then you have the nightlife vibe over at the nightlife and weekend vibe over at the Urban.
Yes.
So we're hitting all those marks, and we're really making ourselves a formidable destination, so that when people plan their trip to Miami, in addition to going to the beach and all the other wonderful things we have to offer, they can put Overtown
on their list.
on their schedule.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
They can put that on their schedule and
Yes.
come and visit and have a fantastic day here.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it.
And good food. We got a lot of
And-
great food in Overtown.
Yes, we do. We do have a lot of good food here.
Yes.
You don't have to go anywhere
Anywhere.
for anything. We have it all here. Our parks are amazing. The kids are amazing here. And what we're doing in these spaces are phenomenal.
And it's not only phenomenal, but it's deserved. Our community deserves this. Our community deserves these spaces. It deserves all the positive attention. It deserves the economic influx. Overtown deserves it, and I love to see it. I love to see it.
Yes. I'm excited to see how we curate the space that is now the underdeck.
Yes.
But I'm excited to see how we curate that space. I'm looking forward to that space telling our story too.
Yes.
You know, I'm not interested in whitewashing why that space has
Right.
come to be. You know, I want our story to be told. Why do we have this space? Because the expressway came through and almost decimated this community. And it is going to be representative of our story. And I'm excited about that as well.
I think it's very important, because we can't skip over the thing that happened and just talk about the result and the after.
Right.
We have to be real about what was a very destructive time for Overtown. But of course, as our people are, we're resilient. But because we pressed on doesn't mean that we wipe it under the rug.
Right, no.
So, and again, the Black Archives is for sure here to make sure that history is it's a fact. It happened, and we're putting it out there. We're not editorializing these things. We just want to make sure that when people come in these spaces, that what they're learning about the spaces is what happened. You know, like Malcolm X said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
And so we want to be really intentional. Just like when people come to the Lyric for any event that has nothing to do with the Black Archives, when they're greeted, at the top of the show, they're still giving information about the space that they're in and the historical significance of this space, because it may be their first and last time in Overtown.
Right.
So that's our way to kind of fit that. Tim, the previous director, used to call it edutainment. You know, he's going to throw in some education regardless if you came here for entertainment or not.
Well, let's give him a shout out. Tim
Yes.
Barber, who is now the curator for the museum at FAMU.
He's the executive director for the Meek Eaton Black Archives and Museum at Florida A&M University.
There you go.
And so that is where he started, and that is where he cultivated his passion for archives. That is where he found out about the Black Archives in Miami and came from there down here as an intern.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, you know, he spent 19 years at the Black Archives. So for sure, it's
Right.
worth noting that a lot of this is the house that Tim built. You know,
Yes.
a lot of
Yes.
these things
He
that
is phenomenal,
we're
too.
able, absolutely,
He is
and
phenomenal.
a true advocate
He is.
for the community and for the
A
organization.
solid rock.
Yes.
I mean, he is solid. He is
Yes.
solid. He is solid in his determination to do well, to preserve our culture, our history. He's solid in support. Every once in a while, out of the blue, he'll send me a text. Said, you know, good job. You know, I'm thinking about you. I'm praying for you. And it always makes me smile. It always makes me smile. And I'm honored to call him friend.
Same. And I mean, I would not feel comfortable stepping into this role had I not been watching and learning from him over the 10 years that I've worked at the Black Archives. I mean, from understanding how the processes with grants work to knowing how to navigate all of the things that you have that you don't really know comes with being at a nonprofit organization.
Right.
And the greatest love letter that Tim could have left to the Black Archives was before he left, to make sure that he had secured us multi-year funding through the CRA grant, because his whole goal, which I feel any leader should have in their mind when they start a place, is that when they leave, they want to leave it better than they found it.
Yes.
And he wanted to make sure, because he did a lot of work to make things happen, and he wanted to make sure that, you know, how they say, I walk so you could run, you know. So he did a lot of that heavy lifting and building those connections politically and building those connections in the community with funders to make sure that we had a way made for us. And you know, like when you say what a great job I did, I wouldn't have the bandwidth to do that if Tim hadn't done what he did to set our organization up for success before he left.
And I think that is absolutely true, because you've stepped into the role seamlessly. And it's not about his legacy overshadowing you. You are doing your own thing. You're making your own way. There's no competition.
Right.
There's just love and respect.
And to this day, if I need something, because again, this man was here for almost 20 years. So there's a lot of times where I'll get stuck on something and call him and need his assistance for, you know, something, because he was here for so long.
Yeah.
So he just went from being my boss to now being my colleague. You know, we
Right.
work together. We're on the board of African American museums together. So we are now kind of teaming up to have a larger impact on, you know, on the preservation community and the museum and archival space. I was like maybe 6 months into this job, and I was invited to go to Norway to talk about Overtown and the Black Archives.
Wow.
And there were some Norwegian archivists who were on holiday. They came from Miami Beach, Googled archives. We were the closest one. I gave them a tour, and they were so impacted by our collection and what we're doing to preserve our space, and also what Overtown has going on. They brought me out to speak at a Norwegian archival conference and talk about the Black Archives. And again, 6 months in, I'm talking about a lot of things that Tim, Dr. Fields, people who came before me put in place, along with talking about my vision.
Right.
But see, that's all a part of the Black Archives, is you have to, you know, honor and respect the past before you can even think about where you're going in the future,
Absolutely.
especially in this realm where it definitely helps you to know from those nicks and bumps that people might have gotten before you.
Yeah. It's great work.
Thank
Great
you.
work, and it's good times in this theater.
Yes.
I even interviewed New Edition on this stage.
Yes.
and
Yes.
good times.
We've
good
had some
times.
fantastic people in this space that I think that, and what's funny is we get all excited when there's going to be a celebrity here. But once they come here and learn about the space, they're fans of the Lyric
Right,
Theater, you
right.
know, and
They
that's,
become fans.
and that's really exciting. They
Yes.
have an appreciation for everything. It's not just a venue that somebody, cookie cut, in a couple of weeks it's shown up. This place has, some provenance, and I really appreciate the respect that the community has given us.
Yeah. 110-year anniversary.
110 years.
Anniversary. That's
110.
fantastic. So we've come to a segment in my podcast where I ask you 5 questions.
Okay.
You don't think too long about them. Okay. First question. If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, who would you have dinner with?
Barack Obama. I mean, I know that sounds like the easy go-to, but I am in such adoration of him. I have so much respect for him and what he represented, knowing that my father, may he rest in peace, shed a tear when he was elected. And just historically what he represented is something so impactful that if I just had an opportunity to sit with him, that would be the best.
Oh, okay. He is amazing.
He's amazing.
And what he did, how the country rallied around him and
Yes.
how we were so proud
Yes.
of him.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have a favorite book?
I do have a favorite book. Well, I have several favorite books, but I will say that the first one that popped in my head was The Bluest Eye.
The Bluest Eye.
Yes, which is also a banned book. But The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I enjoy, and I also like Their Eyes Were Watching God, Zora Neale Hurston. These were books that were introduced to me when I was in high school. And my parents were educators. We grew up reading, me and my brothers, while everybody else had a lemonade stand, we had a library. We would check out our Sweet Valley High and Hardy Boys. And so once I got in high school and I started discovering books that were like, they were assigned to me, but I found something in them that I really liked.
Yes.
Those were the ones that kind of stuck with me through the years. Because when you're in school, you have to kind of analyze them and go into detail.
Right,
And so
right.
it makes you think about why you really enjoyed the book. And so those are books that stand out to me.
And I find that how you read it in high school, today it would be a completely different read.
Absolutely.
From your experiences.
Absolutely.
And,
And context, just being adult enough to know what some of those things really meant.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Do you have a favorite or a theme song?
I don't really have a theme song. I have a lot of songs that I enjoy, but I will say that there is a song by One Way called I Want to Thank You. And I enjoy that song because I think it's about a man, but I relate it to, being thankful about all the things that are happening. And I was just speaking with someone about how, you ask for things and sometimes you toil about things that you want or things that you need, but you have to be prepared because oftentimes you are given those things all at once, so you have to be careful what you ask for.
That
and
you sure do.
And be grateful when you get them.
That's absolutely. Amen on that. Amen on that. I'm a witness to that. Okay. What is the most dangerous thing you do?
The most dangerous thing I do? Advocate for the perpetuation of Black history in the state of Florida.
Yeah. We're in some weird times right
Very.
now. Book banning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not saying that things have been dangerous, but I'm just saying that my passion for education and for standing up for the telling of these stories and not silencing history. And of course, on top of silencing, telling inaccurate and egregious, things.
Right.
I am dedicated to that. And I can't say that regardless of what happens, that I would ever stop being a steward of Black history and standing up for it.
And speaking the truth.
And speaking the truth.
Is dangerous.
It is dangerous.
In these times. It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. And my last question would be, if you could go back and tell your 20-year-old self, give yourself some advice, what would you say?
Pace yourself, because what you think are milestones that you have to rush to right now, things that you have to achieve right now, those things in the long view, they're tiny things. You don't even, like when I was 20, what I was aspiring to was at the bottom of the mountain. I didn't even have a clue how great things would be and what my potential was. And so I feel like if I would have paced myself and kind of scaled things a little bit more, not wanting to plan from, now until death and then being disappointed when it doesn't work out along the way, is to kind of scale my my goals and be realistic, because I would imagine that everything I wanted to do when I was 20 has nothing to do with what I'm doing right now.
Oh, wow.
And so I spent a lot of energy on either what I thought I should be doing, or what, family thought I should be doing, or what, all these years I invested in this particular career, taught me I should be doing. And I stumbled on the Black Archives. I did volunteer work. I applied for the job. I was hired, and I developed a passion that I had no idea that I had not been building towards, other than being Black. I hadn't been building towards this job. It was so far away from anything. But once I was exposed to it, and I saw how important it was, and I realized, as I mentioned, Dr. Fields being a steward, that this was needed, that as we advance into the future, everything's tech, everything's new, Black futures, this, there's the gaze is so far into the future that we're stumbling over these things that we need to preserve to ground us. And if I don't do it, who's going to do it?
Right.
And so now a part of that vision, a part of that purpose is trying to spark that interest in younger generations. And I've hired a staff of young team members who are engaged in this history, who understand the purpose and the importance. And even if they go somewhere else, even if they don't stay here until the end, if what they're doing while they're here is really meaningful to them and they really want to make an imprint on not only the organization but the city, then I feel like...
Right, and they won't forget.
Right, and they won't forget.
They won't forget, and they'll take this experience
Absolutely.
anywhere they go.
Absolutely.
And they'll always forever be truth seekers and truth speakers.
Right.
Because of your leadership and your guidance and your mentorship with them.
I can only hope.
It is so. It is so. And so it is written.
And so it shall be.
Well, thank you for being a guest on the Kingdom Podcast, where all voices are heard. I am your host, Christine King. I look forward to seeing you again next month. And thank you again, and happy anniversary.
And thank you
for
so
the
much
Lyric
for having
Theater
me, Cherry.
and this space.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.